Hello YouTube, it's Mr. Velandis. I'm here bringing you a late video. This past weekend it was Father's Day and I was celebrating it with my family, and that was a blast. I enjoyed myself thoroughly, and now I am ready for the next coming weeks. So I wanted to make this video today about world building and give you guys an example of what I've done for my fantasy world. Not meaning that all my readers will see this, but it will bring some sort of depth and history to the fantasy world. Meaning stuff I could build off of later on if I wanted to make a story about it. That's the whole idea about having Bibles or encyclopedias with information that only you, the writer, will see. So, with that aside, I'm going to give you pretty much a basic breakdown of what's going on. There is the main empire of Aeolin that reaches all the way north to the ice barrier. One of these days I'll go over that. Then it goes all the way south to the city Sleda. And if you were to imagine the size of that, it'd be kind of like the size of Africa, reaching all the way to the southern tip of France. So that's the kind of distance you're thinking about. So there is a warring clan, humans, called the Aritorians. They were rising in power around 2000 AAE, and AAE means after Aeolin Empire. So they invade the Aeolin Empire, and in Aeolin Empire there's two major stronghouses of the clans. There's the Maldorians in the north, and there's the Slaters in the south. And when the Aritorians invaded, they invaded through the river called Malor, and through this river they are able to create beachheads and invade north and south simultaneously. So the Maldorians, being that they were the ruling house of Aeolin, had the tough choices to make of whether to move south and help out the Slaters. In the south, the Slaters, with their allies and their friends, were unable to fight back the onslaught of the Aritorians. So they sent word to the Maldorians requesting aid, being allies within the empire, and the Maldorians never got that request. So the Slaters thought that the Maldorians neglected them. So they were forced to flee, and their holy city of Sleda was destroyed. So after all this happened, there was a treaty, and the Aritorians pulled out because of their internal conflicts going on at their house in their kingdom. And the Slaters were allowed to come back, and they were rebuilding. So fast forward to 3240, and in this year the kingdom was slowly getting back together. The alliances were slowly rebuilding. Dorlax was put down once more, and so there was a relative weak peace between the kingdoms and the clans. And the Slaters still mistrusted the Maldorians for the slight that they thought they had received from the Maldorians, but they still made the alliance because they needed allies. So in this particular year, there was a king that the Slaters had, and he wanted to accept a new religion, a new faith that was rising up in the east, called the Secta Corel. And in doing so, this would open up the door for more allies, more powerful allies, to help them. And in the north, the Maldorians, they wanted to stay true to their heritage and their ancestors and keep with the pantheon. So let's move a little to the more to the east. There's a kingdom called the Kingdom of Mordis. The Kingdom of Mordis is a primarily human-ruled kingdom. If you're not human, you're not allowed there. They're very much against other races, and their primary religion is the sect of Corel. And they're a very powerful kingdom, very warlike, and they have some of the best smithies in the east. And the king of Slada, being that they were following the same religion, created a alliance of convenience with them, and they would pass priests and so forth to help further their religion. And they were slowly encroaching upon the Maldorian lands and sending priests and missionaries up there. So this also added to some of the hostility between the northern lords and the southern Slada lords. So this river, going back to the river, this river of Malor, on the far east end where it comes close to the Kingdom of Luis, there is a little town called Velestor. Velestor is a trading hub for a lot of the elven races and a lot of the orcs and a lot of the minotaurs and slaters and humans trade through here, and they take the river all the way to the ocean. So it's a trading hub. A lot of wealth go through there. And the ruler of this town is an elven lord that he is somewhat lenient and allows other people to bring their face there, and he's lenient and respectful of them. But some of the people aren't. And in the process of allowing this to happen there, one of the Secta Corel priests gets killed. And that's what sparks a little flame. So the importance of this is where one of the first conflicts of the war of attrition between the Sladors and the Maldorians. The Sladors have an alliance with the Kingdom of Mordis and also one of the two pharaohs in the south. So they have the backing of two different kingdoms. And the Maldorians have the backing of the Minotaurs and the elves of Alvaliva. But they don't want a full-scale war because they just recovered from dealing with the dragon and his blight that he brought along. So on their political stance, they didn't want to get into a full-scale war between north and south. So it was up to the nobles to send aid over there. Some of the nobles would send 100 men, 100 men there, 1,000 men there. So eventually, the whole town of Velestor became the battleground. But no kingdom wanted to say, I declare war. It was more or less, they considered it a policing action, in a manner of speaking. The south was there to protect the monastery that was being built on the southern part of the river, and the Maldorians were sending troops there to protect the people in the northern part of the river. But there was always skirmishes. So this went on for 6-7 months until the Maldorian king ordered his troops to pull back, and there was an agreement between north and south that this was, in a manner of speaking, ridiculous, because at this point of the treaty was signed, and at that point both sides had lost 8,000 to 10,000 men, and the city was pretty much in ruins. So just leave you with that. And it also involved the kingdom of Morthese. So they also sent 300 of their best cavalrymen, and they lost about 2,000 so men. So that's just a little bit of a breakdown. I call it the Battle of Velestor, and I hope you guys get some sort of inspiration from this. Gives you some ideas on what to do in your fantasy world. But remember, you can always create as many stories as you want and write it down in a book like this, store it away, and you can always build on it later or pull it into your story, your books at a later date. So I hope you guys enjoyed this little bit of the video. I don't want to go too long. I don't want to bore you too much. Thanks for watching, and please like and subscribe, and as always, stay being creative.